Legal and political turning point is unfolding. A special court has ruled that it has jurisdiction to prosecute suspended Vice-President Riek Machar and 7 of his allies on charges that includes murder, treason and crimes against humanity. This ruling goes beyond a courtroom matter. It cuts to the hearts of South Sudan's fragile peace process. Machar, a central figure in the country's turbulent politics for more than a decade, was a key player in the 2018 peace deal that sought to end years of civil conflict. Now, his potential prosecution raises profound questions around, will this strengthen accountability and justice in South Sudan, or does it risk reopening old wounds and deepening divisions? To answer that question and give a bit of background why we find South Sudan in this situation, we're now joined on the line by Dr. Saifeldin Abdelrhman, Managing Director and Chief Economist of Debis Group. Doc, thank you so much for making the time and welcome to Channel Africa.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, for those who, in the benefit of our listeners who are not following the South Sudan story, can you briefly give us a backdrop as to how we end up here? How did we find ourselves here today?
Thank you very much. In a very brief for your listeners, that this story of South Sudan, unfortunately, started from the comprehensive peace agreement between Sudan and South Sudan in 2005, the agreement that has led to the separation of South Sudan, but has not addressed the root causes of the governor failures and governor collapse in both countries. So there was a scenarios that has been developed during the separation in 2011, that the countries will have 3 major scenarios. The first scenario is that the country will remain the same with improved governance. The second scenario was the country will split into 2, and then we have 2 fragile countries. And unfortunately, that is the scenario is unfolding. You can see it in both countries that we have 2 countries, Sudan, South Sudan, and both of them in political turmoil. Coming back to the Machar issues, we have seen that there was a peace agreement after the secession of South Sudan. The war erupted. It is all have to do with the managing the political competition between different rivals. And those rivals sometimes in the countries, both in Sudan and South Sudan, taking sometimes ethnic lines between major ethnic groups in the country. So there was peace agreements, and then we have another revitalized peace agreements for the conflict resolutions led by IGAD and African unions. And then we have also in the country peace operation missions. All those actors, unfortunately, have failed to bring peace for South Sudan. And if you go back to hold this story, it's all about what we call it in the literature is the negative peace. Negative peace, where we end in a situation there we have no war, no peace, a situation where the peace agreement cannot go beyond moving beyond to provide long-lasting stability for the country, and then that has all economic ramifications and implications.
And Doc, there's a perception out there that this ruling goes beyond the courtroom matters. It cuts to the heart of South Sudan's fragile peace process. Now, my next question is, what does this ruling mean in terms of legal precedent in South Sudan? And I'm asking this because I'm keen to know how might it affect the, perceived legitimacy of the justice system there.
We have to also know that Riek Machar, he was already under house arrest for some times. The peace, the actors in the region, they are struggling to put the peace together in that to avoid sliding to another wave of conflicts. And the court is the last on all this process in terms of the political tension going on in the country. Unfortunately, most of our region is not in a good health. The whole of Africa is unfortunately, it's always like that. We have crisis in Somalia, crisis in Sudan, and it seems that there is a fatigue from the regional actors themselves in dealing with this very high issue in South Sudan. So many of the human rights activists, they believe that there may not be a credible court. Some of them, they believe that it may also have a political motivations. But with all this, you can see that the economic situation, even in South Sudan, adding to the political arrest, is already unfolding, and it's a very unfortunate situation. So we have a situation where African Union, IGAD is struggling in Sudan. There was a court meeting as sideline within the UN General Assembly in dealing with Sudan, and all of a sudden now we have another situation in South Sudan. It's a bewildering dilemma for the regional actors and in the country where the economic actually is also adding a fuel to that.
Yeah.
I have heard that also some of those governors in some of states who are loyal to Machar also has been the step side. And there's so many in the last actually 2 years. South Sudan has changed almost around 4 ministers of finance, but the situation as it's almost the same.
That's very significant. And just as a parting shot, Doc, how could his prosecution alter the delicate balance of power and the progress of the peace process? I'm asking because Machar was central to the 2018 peace agreement.
The current situation, Kenya government has tried also to come in and try to do something in terms of the solving the differences between the vice president and the president. Other actors are also coming inside, but it is unfortunate it is not working and going anywhere. But we hope that in the next weeks, African Union actually and other regional and the countries friends that we will have act. It is clearly that the peace agreement that we have in these regions are not working, and we have to look for the drivers on terms, and basically it is all about governance issues, sharing power and challenges with others, rivals, and that has to be managed in a very different way. But if we continue with the same approach of the peace agreements, where we are just trying to put our head in the sand, things is not going to work on that. And this is apparently also happening now in Sudan, where you can see the different rivals are also in a very serious conflict. That's with my own country, and we don't know this is how it's going to be managed. So as we are moving, the conflicts become interactable, more complicated, and require more. But we hope, it's our only hope, that the own citizen of South Sudanese and the leadership in the South Sudanese, the chief, the traditional actors in the country can also try their best to not to allow another round of conflict. South Sudanese are saying they have tired from all these kind of displacements. The same thing in Sudan. You can see the footage and the displacement all over the regional countries. It's a shame that I can say.
It's a shame indeed. It's going to be interesting to see, Doc, to what extent does this trial go in pursuing justice versus political maneuver on the sidelines of Machar and consolidation of power. Doc, thank you so much for making the time, and have a great evening ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much for